I can still hear the ocean every time I close my eyes. But when I think back to that day, the sound is drowned out by something else. Laughter, music, and the faint clatter of chairs against the sand. 5 years ago, when my grandfather passed, his will split the beach house between me and my half-sister. She got 70%. I got 30. Dad told me to be grateful, said I should accept being the daughter from his first marriage. I swallowed the pain. Until one Friday, I pulled into my driveway and saw white tents, music, and 160 wedding guests setting up on my lawn. At the house I fought 5 years to protect. That was the moment I realized. I wasn't just the forgotten daughter. I was the target. My name is Morgan Hale. I'm 30 years old, and I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. I work as a loan officer at a local bank. It's not glamorous work, but it's steady. And for someone who grew up as the outsider in her own family, stability is everything. When Grandpa was sick, I was the one who stayed. I worked double shifts at the diner, then later at the bank, to help cover his medications and hospital visits. I held his hand when the nights stretched too long. I thought maybe he saw me. Maybe he knew how hard I was trying. Then came the reading of the will. Everyone gathered in the lawyer's oak-paneled office. My dad sat with his new wife, Selena's mom, holding her hand like she was the queen. When the lawyer announced that Grandpa left Selena 70% of the beach house and me only 30, my stepmother's smile widened. My father patted Selena's hand and said, "Of course, she's my blood with you. Morgan's older. She'll manage." I sat there, biting the inside of my cheek until I tasted iron. Grandpa had always told me the house was for both of us, equally, but I kept quiet. 30% was still a piece of him, and I would protect it. So for 5 years, I paid the property taxes. I handled the repairs when the roof leaked. I kept the insurance current. Every time Mom and Dad decided to bring friends down without telling me, every time Selena borrowed the place for her college parties, I just fixed what they broke and stayed silent. I kept records, 31 text messages asking them to please give me notice. None of them answered. That Friday, after a long week of paperwork and endless mortgage files at the bank, I drove to the house. My heart lifted when I smelled the salt in the air, the porch swing, the sound of waves. It was supposed to be my refuge. But the second I pulled into the gravel driveway and saw 4 strange cars jammed in, my stomach tightened. I walked around back, and that's when I saw it. My lawn was unrecognizable. White folding chairs lined up in perfect rows. A massive tent flapping in the breeze. Strangers weaving twinkle lights across my porch railings. And right there, at the center of it all, was Selena, my half-sister, my father's favorite, clipboard in hand, telling a man with a ladder where to hang the flowers. A florist, balancing a bucket of roses, glanced at me and said casually, "We're glad the city already approved the event permit. Made things so much easier with your signature." I froze. My signature? I had never signed anything. I looked down at the ivory wedding invitation sitting on a nearby table. My hands trembled as I slid it from its envelope. In golden script, it read, "Selena and Thomas invite you to celebrate their wedding. 160 guests. 2-day seaside celebration at the Hale Family Beach House. 172 Pelican Drive." And there it was, my address, printed in bold black letters, on a wedding invitation I never agreed to. If you are watching this, drop a comment telling me where you are from. Hit subscribe and stay tuned to hear how I finally stood up for myself after years of being the forgotten daughter. I clutched the ivory invitation so hard, it bent in my hands. The Hale Family Beach House. The words stared back at me, mocking me. My house, my 30% wasn't much, but it was real. It was mine. And yet, here it was, plastered across gold lettering, promised to 160 strangers for a 2-day spectacle. Before I could speak, Selena walked over, her heels clicking on the patio stones. She draped an arm around my shoulder, as if we were best friends. "Isn't it perfect, Morgan? Grandpa would have loved to see me get married here." Her voice was sweet, too sweet. I swallowed hard. "You never asked me. You never even told me you were engaged." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. Dad and Mom said you'd be fine with it. You barely even use this place. Honestly, Morgan, you should be proud. I'm making it special. You only got 30% in the will for a reason." The words landed like a slap. Only 30%. As if Grandpa's gift, the one thing I'd clung to for years, was nothing. As if I was nothing. Then my phone buzzed. A WhatsApp notification lit up the screen. It was from Thomas, Selena's fiancé. I hesitated, then opened it. A series of screenshots filled the screen. Messages from a family WhatsApp group I hadn't even known existed. My stepmother's name sat at the top. Her words, "Don't worry, I already signed Morgan's name on the city permit. They won't question it. She's just the half one. She'll never stand up to us." My chest tightened. A forged signature. My name. A permit. And at the bottom, Thomas had written, "I'm sorry, Morgan. I can't be part of this lie. I found the PDF on Selena's laptop. She sent it to my email to print. I had to show you." Selena's hand tightened on my shoulder. "You're going to help with the seating chart, right? We want the ocean in the background. And Mom says you have a good eye for details." I could barely hear her. My ears buzzed as I opened the file Thomas forwarded. There it was, the official city event permit, approved and stamped by Wilmington's office. And at the bottom, scrawled in digital ink, was my own name. Only, it wasn't mine. I felt the world tilt beneath me. For years, I'd been the quiet one, the girl who cleaned up after their parties, the half-sister who accepted less. But this wasn't just disrespect. This was theft, fraud, a crime. I looked up at Selena, her eyes shining with triumph, as if she'd already won. And that's when I realized they had been planning this wedding behind my back for almost a year, using a forged version of my signature to make it happen. The next morning, I sat in a glass-walled office, my hands wrapped around a paper cup of burnt coffee that had already gone cold. The lawyer across from me flipped through the thick folder I'd shoved across his desk. Property deeds, tax receipts, emails, photos, every little proof I had saved for years, without really knowing why. He adjusted his glasses, eyes narrowing. "So, you've been paying everything yourself for 5 years?" I nodded. Every property tax bill, every insurance premium, every repair when the roof leaked or the pipes burst. I even paid to replace the porch swing after one of Selena's friends broke it. I slid another set of printouts toward him. 31 screenshots of messages I'd sent my dad and my stepmother over the years. "Please let me know before you use the house. Please clean up after yourselves. Please respect my space." Not once had they acknowledged me. The lawyer tapped his pen against the will. "Here's the thing. Even though your share is only 30%, this house was left to you both as tenants in common. That means any major decision, leasing, selling, or hosting a large event, requires unanimous consent. Selena cannot host a wedding here without your approval." For the first time since I found that invitation, I felt a flicker of hope. But then he held up the city permit PDF Thomas had sent me. My fake signature glared back at me in perfect digital ink. "This is a problem," he said. If the city believes this signature is valid, they might assume you already consented. That could weaken your position. And if we prove it's forged, whoever submitted this could face felony charges. Felony. The word slammed into me. I wasn't prepared for that. This wasn't just family drama anymore. It was criminal. I left the office with my folder clutched to my chest, my heart hammering. I couldn't shake Thomas's late-night WhatsApp message. I can't be part of this lie. Why would he risk everything to send me those screenshots? Was he protecting me or protecting himself? Back at my apartment, I opened the chat again. His words seemed desperate. He admitted he had printed the permit for Selena because she told him it was just paperwork. Only later, when he saw my name forged, did he realize what she and my stepmother had done. If the city checks, I'm implicated too, he wrote. I need you to know I never agreed to this. For a moment, I felt a strange compassion. Maybe he wasn't as blind as I thought. Maybe he was trapped too. But then, I remembered Selena's smug smile, the way she called me sort of family, and how my father had nodded as if her words were gospel. They had all known. They had all decided I didn't matter. That night, I sat on my bed, laptop open, scrolling through every message I'd ever sent, every receipt I'd ever saved. The stack of evidence grew taller, the weight heavier. I had spent years being the responsible one, the silent one, the daughter from the first marriage. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A new notification from the security camera app I had just set up. I tapped it, and the screen lit up with a live feed. There they were, Selena and Thomas, walking through my front door with a catering crew, pointing at walls, measuring spaces, laughing like it already belonged to them. And in that moment, I knew, if I stayed silent again, I would lose not just my house, but myself. The following evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Dad. Family dinner. No excuses. I almost ignored it. But part of me wanted to look them in the eye, to stop hiding. So I drove to the restaurant we always used for birthdays and awkward reunions, my stomach twisting like a rope. Through the window, I saw them already seated in our usual corner booth. Dad in his navy blazer, posture stiff. My stepmother beside him, lips pressed into a thin line. Selena sat across from them, eyes red and glistening, though even her tears looked rehearsed. Thomas was next to her, silent, shoulders hunched. When I slid into the booth, Selena didn't waste a second. You ruined everything, she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound tragic. The city's calling about the permit. Do you know what you've done to me? To us? I tried to steady my breathing. What I've done? Selena, you forged my name. You planned a wedding for 160 people on property that doesn't even belong entirely to you. Dad leaned in, lowering his voice, but not his anger. Morgan, you got 30%. Selena got 70%. That was your grandfather's wish. You need to respect it. Stop making this harder than it has to be. I looked him dead in the eyes. Respect? I paid the taxes for 5 years. I replaced the roof when it caved in during the storm. I fixed the plumbing when it burst. I kept this place standing, while you all treated it like a free hotel. 31 times I asked you to respect my space. 31 times you ignored me. I pulled out the thick folder I'd been carrying everywhere and laid it on the table with a heavy thud. Receipts slid across the polished wood. Photos of wine stains on the porch cushions. Screenshots of my unanswered texts. The evidence spoke louder than I ever had. Selena slammed her hand down. You think this makes you the victim. You're not. You're just bitter. Grandpa gave me more because he knew I mattered more. Her words should have broken me. Instead, Something inside me hardened. I leaned forward, my voice steady. Sharing requires asking. You never asked. You took. And now you've crossed a line. For the first time that night, Thomas spoke. His voice was low, but it cut through the air. She's right. Selena whipped around. What? He shifted uncomfortably. I sent Morgan the WhatsApp screenshots. Because your mom, she made me watch while you forged that permit. She said it was just paperwork, but I realized later it had Morgan's name on it. If the city investigates, I could lose my career. I won't be part of this. The table went silent. My stepmother's face drained of color. Selena's mouth opened, then snapped shut like a trap. Dad's jaw clenched. His eyes burned into me, as if Thomas's betrayal were my fault. His hand came down on the table so hard, glasses rattled. Enough, he hissed. If you drag this family through court, Morgan, you're no daughter of mine. I sat there, my pulse thundering, staring at the man who had raised me, who had just disowned me with one sentence. And for the first time, instead of feeling broken, I felt something colder, sharper, a dangerous kind of calm settling over me. 2 days before the wedding, I drove back to Wrightsville Beach. The closer I got, the more my chest tightened. I turned the corner, and there it was again. My lawn swallowed by chaos. Trucks blocked the street. Workers hammered wooden beams into place. White fabric snapped in the wind. An arch was already half built, towering against the backdrop of the ocean. I slammed the car door and walked straight up the path. Selena spotted me instantly. She wore a short white rehearsal dress, hair curled like a bride from a magazine. She tossed her clipboard onto a chair and strode toward me, fury and panic flashing across her face. Morgan, stop, she hissed. This is happening. I own 70%. Majority rules. You can't do anything. I didn't flinch. My lawyer was beside me, and behind us, the HOA president held a stack of documents. I nodded at him, and he cleared his throat. According to community bylaws, he said firmly, any event over 25 guests requires full consent of all co-owners. Without Miss Hale's approval, this setup is a violation. Selena's face crumbled. She dropped her voice and grabbed my wrist. Please, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Just let me have this. It's only 2 days. After that, I swear, I'll never ask to use the house again. I'm begging you, Morgan. Don't ruin my wedding. Her words twisted something deep inside me. For a moment, I saw her not as the spoiled favorite, but as a terrified bride who just wanted her perfect day. My heart wavered. I thought about all the times I'd stayed silent, all the times I'd told myself keeping the peace was more important than my own dignity. Then I remembered the forged signature, the 31 ignored texts, the nights I spent scrubbing wine out of Grandpa's carpet while Selena laughed with her friends upstairs. I wasn't ruining her wedding. She had ruined my trust. I pulled my wrist free. No, Selena, not this time. She gasped, as if I had slapped her. I took out my phone, dialed, and spoke clearly. This is Morgan Hale, co-owner of 172 Pelican Drive. I'm reporting an unauthorized event setup. There's a forged city permit. I need enforcement here immediately. The workers froze, tools in hand. My stepmother's face twisted in rage. Dad muttered curses under his breath. Selena fell to her knees in the gravel, sobbing so loudly neighbors peeked out their windows. I could feel their eyes on me, judging. Was I being heartless? Was I punishing her on the one weekend she had dreamed of for years? Part of me hated how calm I felt as I turned away, leaving her wails behind. That night, as I packed more evidence into my blue folder, my neighbor knocked on my apartment door. Mr. Garcia, the retired teacher who lived across from the beach house. He held up a small, USB drive. "I thought you should see this," he said. "My security camera faces your driveway. A few months ago, I caught your father and his wife walking into the notary office with Selena. I didn't think much of it until I saw the news about the wedding. I plugged the drive into my laptop. The footage played. My stepmother sliding papers across a desk, whispering to Selena, pointing where to sign. My father stood by the door, glancing around nervously. Then I saw it. My name being scribbled in a digital pad I had never touched. My heart pounded as my phone rang again. This time, it was my lawyer. His voice was sharp. "Morgan, we have everything we need. With this video, the court could strip Selena's 70% completely. The question is, do you want to press charges?" By the next morning, the story had already slipped out of our control. I woke to a dozen missed calls, and when I finally opened my laptop, the headlines were everywhere. Half-sister blocks dream wedding at family beach house. Photos of Selena crying on the front lawn splashed across local news sites, her white rehearsal dress catching the sun like some tragic movie heroine. The comments poured in by the hundreds. Some people wrote, "Good for Morgan, boundaries matter." Others were vicious. "Who ruins their own sister's wedding? What kind of bitter woman does that?" My hands shook as I scrolled. Each insult felt like a slap. Selfish, jealous, heartless. At the bank, I could feel eyes on me as I walked to my desk. Whispers traveled faster than paperwork. My coworker James leaned over the partition. "You okay?" he asked softly. I forced a smile. Family drama, but my phone kept buzzing on my desk, face down, like an angry wasp. Message after message. Selena had posted on Instagram a tear-streaked video where she said, "I can't believe my own sister would betray me like this. Blood should mean something. She's always hated me for being Dad's real daughter." The comments beneath her post were even worse. Friends and relatives calling me a monster. Old classmates chiming in about how I was always jealous of Selena. It felt like drowning in a tide of voices that wanted me silenced. I closed my eyes, reminding myself of the evidence, the receipts, the texts, the forged signature. I wasn't the villain here, but try telling that to the court of public opinion. That night, as I sat on my couch with the blue folder, another buzz lit up my phone. This time, it wasn't Selena. It was Thomas. I hesitated before opening the message. It wasn't just a message. It was a public Facebook post. My jaw dropped as I read the first line. "I can't stay silent anymore." He had uploaded the screenshots, the WhatsApp messages, the permit with my forged signature, everything. "Morgan isn't lying," he wrote. "She never gave consent. My fiancé's mother forged her signature, and I stayed quiet too long. That's on me." The internet exploded again. But this time, the tide shifted. People commented, "Wow, so Morgan was telling the truth." Others turned on Selena. She tried to steal her sister's inheritance. For a moment, I felt relief. At least now, the world knew the truth. At least, I wasn't crazy. But the victory was short-lived. The next afternoon, as I was reviewing a client's mortgage file at my desk, the elevator dinged. I glanced up, and my blood ran cold. My father was striding across the marble floor of the bank lobby. His jaw was clenched, his eyes blazing. "Morgan!" His voice thundered through the quiet office. "How dare you humiliate this family? Do you think you can expose us and still call yourself my daughter?" Phones stopped ringing. My coworkers froze, staring. The branch manager stood up nervously. My father's voice rose louder, echoing off the glass. I pushed back my chair and walked toward him, every step deliberate, my heart pounding so hard it shook through my chest. And just as I opened my mouth to speak, Security rushed forward, placing a hand on my father's shoulder, because he looked ready to drag me out of my own workplace. The pounding on my apartment door shook the walls. I knew who it was before I even looked. When I opened it, my father stood there, jaw clenched, with my stepmother on his arm. Selena hovered behind them, her makeup smeared, her eyes swollen from crying. "May we come in?" My mother's voice was brittle, not a question at all. I stepped aside, already prepared. 3 glasses of water waited on coasters at the coffee table. They entered like a firing squad. Dad dropped a set of old keys on the table with a sharp clang. "We know you changed the locks," he said coldly, "but this nonsense ends tonight." Selena's voice broke. "You don't understand. I've dreamed of this wedding since I was a little girl. I only get one chance. You can't do this to me, Morgan." I sat across from them, back straight, hands folded on my lap. "You've been doing it to me for 5 years," I said quietly. "Every holiday, every weekend, every time you barged in without asking. I stayed silent, but you forged my name on a government document. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a crime." Dad leaned forward, using his calm business voice, the one he used to close deals. "Sweetheart, everyone makes mistakes. We're family. We shouldn't need paperwork between us. Your sister deserves this day. Sign over your share and end this." My heart raced, but my voice was steady. "I will not sign anything." My stepmother's lips thinned. "If you cared about this family, you'd give her the house. You don't even use it." I reached for the thick blue folder and spread it open across the table. Receipts, tax statements, photos of the damage from parties, even the screenshots Thomas had sent me on WhatsApp. Then, from my pocket, I pulled out the USB Mr. Garcia had given me. I slid it forward. "Here's the video," I said. "You walked into a notary's office with Selena and forged my name on a permit application. Do you understand what that means?" Selena gasped, shaking her head. "That's not true." I clicked play. The grainy footage filled my laptop screen. My stepmother's voice was faint, but clear. "Just sign it, Selena. She'll never know. And if she finds out, we'll beg later." My father shifted uneasily in his chair. The room fell silent, except for Selena's ragged breathing. Before I could say another word, my lawyer's voice crackled from the speakerphone. He had been waiting for my call. "Morgan, I reviewed the footage. This is enough. If we push this in court, the judge could invalidate Selena's 70%. The entire property could become yours." Selena shot up from her chair. "What? No, that's my inheritance. Grandpa wanted me to have it." I looked at her, my pulse thudding. "Grandpa wanted us both to have it, and you tried to erase me." Dad's face darkened. "Morgan, think very carefully. You go through with this, and you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Blood is blood. You cannot destroy your sister." I met his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't shrink back. "She already destroyed me once. I'm not letting it happen again." The knock at the door came sharp, official. I turned. Through the peephole, I saw a uniformed sheriff's deputy, holding a thick envelope. When I opened the door, he handed it to me. A court summons. The choice was no longer theoretical. I had 10 days to decide whether to claim the entire house or face my family in court. The envelope felt heavier than it should have, as if the paper inside carried the weight of my entire childhood. I closed the door gently, set it on the table, and stared at it for what felt like forever. My parents sat stiff on my couch, Selena pacing like a caged animal. I picked up the envelope and broke the seal. The words blurred at first, then sharpened into focus. Court summons, case, Hale v. Bennett. My name, my sister's name, my father's name, my stepmother's. All of us pulled into the light of a judge's chamber, every dirty secret laid bare. Selena's voice cracked. "You can't do this. You'll destroy me. Do you want everyone to see what we did?" I looked at her. She wasn't wrong. If this went to trial, the video, the forged signature, the fake permit, everything would be public record. Her perfect reputation, my parents' careful image of a flawless family, shattered for good. But then I thought of Grandpa. I thought of his warm laugh on the porch swing, the way he'd squeeze my shoulder and whisper, "You're stronger than they think." I had protected his house for 5 years. Every bill, every late night, every lonely weekend when I came to repair something no one else cared about. This wasn't just a piece of property. It was proof that I mattered to him, even if no one else believed it. I met Selena's tearful eyes. "I don't want to destroy you. I just want you to respect me. That's all I've ever wanted." She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off. "I'm not signing away my rights, and I'm not backing down, but I won't take what Grandpa gave you. I'll keep my 30%, and the court will enforce my boundaries. That's my decision." The room went silent. Dad blinked as if he hadn't heard me. Mom's lips parted, but no words came. And Selena, she just collapsed back onto the couch, shoulders shaking, eyes squeezed shut. A week later, we stood in court. The lawyer presented the evidence: the forged permit with my fake signature, the WhatsApp screenshots, the video from Mr. Garcia's camera. The judge's expression hardened with every page, every clip. He looked directly at my stepmother. "Forgery of a legal document is a felony in this state. Do you understand the seriousness of this?" She didn't answer. Selena sat beside her, clutching Thomas's hand so tight his knuckles turned white. Then came my turn. The judge asked me if I wished to pursue a full claim to the house, given the circumstances. My heart hammered. The entire courtroom leaned forward, waiting. I could feel Selena's fear, my parents' fury, Thomas's quiet shame. I took a deep breath. "Your Honor," I said, my voice steady, "I don't want to erase anyone. I only want what my grandfather intended for me: my share, my rights, and my peace. Nothing more." The judge nodded, his expression unreadable. "Then so be it. Ms. Hale retains her 30% with legal protections. No event or lease may occur without her written consent. Any further violations will result in penalties and possible criminal charges." The gavel came down. Just like that, it was over. Selena's wedding moved to Thomas's parents' backyard. Instead of 160 guests under a glittering tent by the ocean, there were barely 80 people squeezed between hedges and a rented arch. I didn't attend. I sat on my porch swing, sipping iced tea, listening to the waves crash, feeling the strange calm that had become my constant companion. 6 months later, I walked through my beach house, barefoot on polished wood floors. No empty wine bottles, no muddy footprints. The cushions I bought in soft teal still smelled new. My phone buzzed with a text from James. Congratulations on my recent promotion. He'd watched me stand up to my family and insisted that same fire had convinced our boss I was ready to lead the commercial loan division. That evening, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Selena standing there, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. She wasn't in designer clothes this time, just jeans and a plain sweater. Her voice was quiet. "Thank you for letting me come over. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I never really thought about how we treated you. I just assumed the house was mine. I was wrong. For a moment, I saw the little sister I used to tuck in when she had nightmares, before the lines of inheritance carved us apart." I nodded slowly. "Thank you." That means something. But from now on, you ask before you come. That's the rule. She nodded, eyes glistening. I understand. Maybe we can start over? I didn't promise anything, but I gestured her inside. We shared a quiet lunch, awkward, but real. When she left, she actually said, "Thanks for having me," with permission. Later, I sat on the porch with Marlene and two new friends from my pottery class. We clinked mismatched wine glasses as the sunset turned the sky into fire and gold. My phone buzzed again. A message from Selena. "Looking forward to next time. I'll call first, I promise." I set the phone down and smiled. For the first time in years, the house felt like mine. Not because I had fought for every inch of it, but because I had finally drawn a line and made them see it. Sometimes, protecting yourself means risking the approval of people who were supposed to love you unconditionally. Family doesn't give anyone the right to erase your worth, and forgiveness, it doesn't mean surrendering everything. It means choosing peace, choosing love, and refusing to let resentment define your future.